Hey, good morning everybody. It's Matthew Lee with the Tao of Kung Fu, and today I'm introducing another pressure point for the Mak College, and this is a really fun one. This is one of my favorites, stemming all the way back to my time when I was doing some boxing and Muay Thai. Those old rules of boxing, they always talk about punching the liver, and so there's a lot of body shot knockouts that happen from striking the liver area, which is on the right side behind the rib cage, and kind of in that line where the ribs stop and the abdomen kind of begins. That area in there is where the liver lies, on the right side. And this is the reason why a lot of boxers, when they talk about boxing, the orthodox stance is the left foot forward, because if you're left foot forward, the liver is back over here, and even taking a shot, it's never really directly on the liver. So left foot forward is the best way to protect the liver from being struck. The orthodox style of fighting is always left foot forward. Even with Kung Fu, you see a lot of left forward stances when you first step out, and the reason for that is because of the liver. So the point I'm introducing today is one of my favorites, and it just so happens to be very closely related in physical location to the liver. So remember, a lot of these spots that are on the meridians, like stomach, say, stomach 9, isn't necessarily anywhere near the stomach, but the meridian, when it's struck, is associated with the stomach. So a lot of them aren't necessarily in physical relationship to the organ that they're associated with, but liver 13 happens to be associated with the same location, rather, of the organ that it's associated with. So it's a super fun one, because even if you miss the point, you might still actually hit the liver and still cause a lot of damage. So it's pretty cool. The location of liver 13 is actually on the floater rib, or very close to the floater rib. It's about 2 inches above the navel and 6 inches to either side of the midline. And you can kind of feel around there. I think of when the ribs come down and start to cut back, you can feel that really tender area, and when you get it, wow, you can really feel it. It's just much more tender than any other area. It's also an easy way to find it is when the elbow is bent and your shoulders are just loose and relaxed. If you cut straight in, if they're forward just a little bit, it's in that area there. So it's easy to protect with the elbow being dropped, but when you're punching, or if your guard is up a little too high, you can strike it. So liver 13 is a really, really fun strike to work on. Of course, it's considered bilateral, which means it's symmetric on both sides of the body. There's a liver 13 on the left-hand side as well. Now, hitting this one, if it's their lead, it's not necessarily going to do a lot of damage to the liver, not immediate anyways, but it's close to the stomach. So if the person has just eaten or just drank a lot of water or something like that, you can affect the stomach area actually on this side, and cause them like just not feeling great, and kind of shocking their system and making them slow down and get sluggish and just have to deal with a lot of pain, which can cause the hesitation in a fight that will give you the upper hand. When you strike liver 13, if you strike it correctly, and you want to come in at a little bit of a diagonal angle, like if you put a line from liver 13 to the back of the spine, that's kind of the angle that you want to come at. They call it, it's perpendicular to the body, but because it's over on the side, you have to go in at a diagonal angle. And then upwards causes a major shock. So that upward, like palm up, uppercut into the rib into that liver 13 area can cause a lot of problems. If you look at YouTube and you look at boxing videos or MMA videos and see body shot knockouts, you'll see a lot of liver 13. Like, people can take those strikes here because when you're doing crunches and everything like that, you're building up that muscle wall, and that's going to be the major protection field for that area. But liver 13 is a little off the side of that, where the muscles get smaller and there's less protection, so it's a little more vulnerable. This is a really serious strike to hit. You can see what it does to boxers, and they're really well conditioned. So imagine a person on the street who's accosting you or just causing a confrontation, who doesn't have that conditioning about their body. This is a devastating strike. And it can cause a lot of really serious effects. It is one of the traditional 36 death points in a lot of the traditional systems, which means you can't actually kill somebody by hitting this spot. It affects the liver immediately, and then has a more prolonged effect with things like the spleen, the pericardium. It can cause like prolonged lumbar pain in the lower back. Can cause chest pain. It can do things to you if it's not treated right away and if it's not released. The inflammation from that can cause difficulty urinating. It can cause really cloudy, bad urination. Or can completely stop you from urinating and then cause jaundice. And it can actually cause a really serious form of jaundice that's called black jaundice, where the body turns yellow, but the face and the forehead especially turn black. And that's really serious. It can lead to death. This strike can also cause instant death by shocking the system and making the person go into convulsions. And it does something really serious if it's struck on a downward angle and hit just correctly. It's really rare for this to happen, and I would say not likely, but it's definitely a possibility. It does something called a reversal of qi, where it sends the qi reversing its direction from its normal state of flow. And it shocks the entire system. It causes problems with the nervous system. It affects it immediately, and things just start to shut down, and the person can go into really violent spasms and convulsions and die right there in front of you. So it's a really serious one. Now, what's the likelihood of that happening? Well, look at how often people in the MMA and boxing and Muay Thai get struck there, and not very many people die. So, I mean, you know, on the street it might be a little more likely just because people's conditioning is much lower, but that's the science of the philosophically, of course, this one is considered yin, and it's a wood element, the liver. If it's damaged or has a blockage on this line anywhere, it can cause a lot of anger. And so if you're angry and you have like just, you don't know why, but you're just angry and irritable and stuff like that, it could be a problem with your liver, the actual organ, or maybe a blockage along that line somewhere. So an acupuncturist can help balance that out and deal. One of the favorite things I love to do for this one is get into where I'm pulling their guard up. So this person here is raising their guard up to block high and then sneaking low and hitting into that liver area. So getting the guard up, and then as soon as that guard is up, striking into that liver area, or downward with a straight shot from the side to creep in downward. And then the cool thing about this is too, if you miss the point, there's great proximity targets that are really vital as well. Some would be the kidneys, the actual liver itself, the stomach on the left-hand side, and then of course just the ribs. Those floater ribs are tender, And so even if you miss the point of liver 13, you could possibly strike into the ribs and cause them to break a rib. Those ribs are really susceptible anyways because they're floater ribs, so they're easy to tear the little cartilage attachment that holds them with the other part of the rib cage, or to actually break the rib itself. And broken ribs can cause a ton of trouble. In a more serious instances, you can have a broken rib puncture into muscle and other organs just from the bone fragments. Once it's broken, can sneak in a shard or whatever. But just the rib being broken itself causes difficulty moving, causes difficulty raising the arms, and of course difficulty breathing. So it's an energy drain really, really quickly. So have fun training with liver 13, and I'll see you soon.